Coming up on Texas News Channel, DACA students plead for a new law.
UT students displaced as the school year starts.
And UTPD trains faculty on how to react in an active shooting.
You're watching Texas News Channel.
Your leader for live local UT coverage. Good evening and welcome back to Texas News Channel for Monday, September 16th. I'm Ramirez.
And I'm Carli Rappoport. Thank you for joining us for our first show of the semester. 2 years ago, President Trump announced the end of the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, or DACA. This announcement has affected the future plans of dreamers like UT student Guadalupe Lopez. For TNC, Cynthia Miranda reports.
The end of DACA created stress for Guadalupe Lopez.
I guess I was sort of nervous, kind of questioning what am I going to do now? Like, DACA is what helps me get financial aid. Because of DACA, I'm here.
Lopez grew up in Austin. She is a dreamer who was born in León, Guanajuato, Mexico, and she arrived in the United States when she was 4 months old. Lopez says her DACA status affected her decision to find a job this year.
It's just, I guess, added that to my plate. Like, now I'm working while going to school. And so, in a way, it did affect, I guess, my overall stress. I went just a little bit up.
Lopez says she hopes elected officials will create a solution for the dreamers.
Something will come up, something will help us. They'll come up with something, I'm sure. I hope. Just because, like, I feel like they would want to help those who are willing to help society.
Local Austin immigration lawyer Ivan Andarza says that in order to protect dreamers, our legislators must sign it into law.
You need a Congress to pass a law, the president sign it, and that has the force of law. Now it's protected.
In November, the Supreme Court will start hearing arguments about DACA, and the fate of dreamers like Guadalupe Lopez will be in their hands. Cynthia Miranda, Texas News Channel.
Following the recent mass shootings in El Paso and Odessa, many in the UT community are concerned that a mass shooting could happen here on the 40 acres. The UT Police Department is hosting a series of civilian response to active shooter trainings for UT faculty and staff this semester. These trainings show what to do in an event of a mass shooting, as well as show how the department will respond to such an event.
So we want them to know what you do is going to make a difference. We talk in depth about how scary it is, how that affects your psychology, and then common mistakes people have made in active shooter situations and what you should do. It's a sad reality in this community that people are concerned, and UTPD's attitudes, we're going to be ready when it occurs. We're going to make sure our community's ready when it occurs. Ideally, we prevent them. That's what we want to say, but I don't like to sugarcoat. This is a serious problem that we have to address seriously.
UTPD will host its next training on October 14th.
Adriana Alicia Rodriguez took over as coordinator of UT's Title IX office. The change comes after former coordinator Krista Anderson was selected to work for the UT system. Alicia Rodriguez says she desires a safe and inclusive environment for students. Rodriguez previously worked as the Title IX coordinator for UTSA and has a decade of higher experience in education.
Professor Dr. Evdoklia Nikolava filed a lawsuit Monday claiming the university denied her tenure because she was pregnant. The lawsuit states the Dean of Engineering, Sharon Wood, believes Nikolava's pregnancy caused her to miss too much time to be considered for a tenure. Universities' policies do not allow for pregnancy or childbirth to be considered when applying, but the lawsuit says those policies were broken.
Former faculty director of the UT Law School, Jason Shoemaker, is accused of stealing $1.6 million from the university. The charges say Shoemaker used procurement cards to make fake payments to himself and others. A procurement card is meant for employees to charge job-related expenses. If Shoemaker is found guilty, he could serve up to 99 years in prison. UT spokesman Gary Susswain says the university is in the process of improving its spending procedures.
UT student Miranda Loralde posted a video on Twitter of a tightly packed student crowd pushing their way into DKR for the LSU versus UT game. She described it as chaotic. Students say they were over capacity in their section. UT Athletic Director Chris Del Conte says in a statement the enormity of the game combined with the south end zone construction project presented some new challenges that we had not previously faced. Del Conte plans improvement will be made for the next home game. And coming up on Texas News Channel, we'll tell you about UT students that were displaced for their first day of classes.
And we'll give you an update on all the changes coming to the 40 acres. Stay tuned. Mariana Rivera is a journalism and English junior here at UT. She is a Mellon Mays undergraduate fellow and has also interned with her hometown paper, El Bravo, in Matamoros, Mexico. In honor of Spanish Heritage Month, we sat down with Rivera to find out why it's important to have Latinx perspectives in journalism.
I think it's important for Latinx voices to be heard in media because I think up until now, the United States hasn't reckoned with the power that the Latinx community has. Up until now, around the 90s, I think the U.S. started to realize how much buying power the Latinx community has, which if I'm not mistaken is around $90 million. So if we're creating this much capital for the country, I think it's important that the Latinx voices also be heard.
While many Longhorns may be stressed over exams and quizzes, some are more concerned with moving in. TNC's Nikki Miller spoke with the displaced students and gives insight on their experience.
In the past 2 weeks, many students have been forced into hotels, Airbnbs, and even couch surfing until their leases are ready, due to the delay of West Campus apartment construction.
I could kind of tell with this apartment building that it wasn't going to be done. My mom visited last year and she was like, oh, like which one's your building? And I was like, it's the hole in the ground.
Students with leases signed 1 year ago for West Campus apartments have had no choice but to find other living arrangements on their own until their apartments are done being built and have passed all inspections.
So I ended up staying on a couch for like the first 2.5 weeks of the semester, which wasn't horrible, but I think that the like emotional and mental stress that it put on everyone was the biggest issue.
Just recently, were students able to start moving into their own campus apartments 2 weeks after the start of the fall semester.
It's kind of a disaster, to be honest. Yesterday, one of the elevators wasn't working, and the building only has 2 elevators. So I know lots of people that were like struggling to bring some of their stuff out from the parking garage. And it's really unclear like where we're not allowed to go based on construction.
Miller reached out to Vias but have not yet to heard from them.
New bike lanes have been installed near the UT campus thanks to mobility bond from the City of Austin and partnership with the university. Access to buildings like the University Library, the LBJ School of Public Affairs, and traveling to and from East Campus Garage has improved. You can find the new bike lanes along Manor Road, Dean Keaton, and Clyde Littlefield near the football stadium. These lanes are protected, meaning that although those lanes are alongside regular traffic, they're designated just for bikes. Have you ever been sad about riding an electric scooter alone? Well, Scooter Company Line is adding a new group feature. Now users are able to unlock multiple scooters and ride with others in a group. Lime says the move will help make sure everyone has their own ride.
Student org people for PMA have made efforts on campus to rename the Robert Lee Moore Hall to the Physics, Mathematics, and Astronomy building. The building is named after former UT math professor Robert Lee Moore. Moore is known for openly discriminating against African American students and refusing said students into class. People for PMA fear his past has effects on students of color. Well, it looks like there are laws even when you're drinking claws. One UT Austin fraternity is putting a dent into the ongoing White Claw shortage. The unnamed fraternity bought over $7,500 worth of the spiked seltzer and reached viral fame One worker posted a photo of the cases waiting for pickup. While summer is far from over, UT frats are still having a hashtag White Claw summer. Well, and speaking about White Claw, I'm sure a lot of people will be tailgating this weekend for the big game.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited for this game
but
coming
the
up.
weather's probably going to be a hot one like it's always been. For more, let's go to Mercedes, who has a more look at the weather. Mercedes?
Thanks, Marco. It's been really hot lately, but it looks like some rain might be on the way this week. Stay tuned. Summer may be over, but we are still feeling the heat as we move through September. This weekend was pretty warm, and today was no different, mostly sunny and high near 98 degrees. Tropical moisture from the Gulf of Mexico will help bring in some rain starting Tuesday. Tuesday will still feel warm with a high near 95, but there's a 40% chance of rain after 1 p.m. and going into the evening. Wednesday has a 50% chance of rain, so I will make sure to grab an umbrella on your way to class. It'll be partly sunny with a high of near 74. Wednesday evening has a smaller chance of rain, but could be heavy rainfall, so I would be careful if you're staying late on campus. As we head into the weekend, Thursday and Friday could see some rain with mostly cloudy conditions. On Saturday, there's a chance of scattered rain, so pack a burnt orange poncho if you're going to see UT play at DKR against Oklahoma State. By Sunday, the rain should be dying down, so we could see lots of rain this week, hopefully making it cooler when walking to classes. So have an umbrella ready. Live from the Weather Center, Mercedes Gonzalez, Texas News Channel.
Thanks, Mercedes. And coming up, we'll be right back with sports. Welcome back to Texas News Channel. We now welcome in senior sports correspondent Robert Trevino. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It's great to be here. It's time to recap a big weekend for Texas football as they took on the Rice Owls in a neutral site game. Early on, Sam Ehlinger is going to drop back. He's looking for Jake Smith, the wideout, who's going to catch it in for an early 7-0 lead for Texas. Now, going to find over the middle. Who is it? Jake Smith. And he's going to scamper on in for a score. Big plays from Texas are important. They didn't get those in the first two games, but they get them here. And now Keontae Ingram had a little bit of a disappointing performance against LSU, but he's looking all right here as he scampers in now, and Texas with the lead. Sam on a bootleg, gonna look up for, guess who again? It's Jake Smith. 2 TDs for the wideout, had a huge game, and Cameron Dicker, the kicker, with a huge 57-yarder. That's the longest kick by a Texas kicker in over 30 years. And Sam Ehlinger now back to Keontae Ingram, who's gonna run it in again for now an incredible lead. But Rice, they're going to get on the board here. This is big for Vegas. The odds were at 31.5. And now, the big run back, 98-yard return. Good teams win, great teams cover. Texas covers the spread, wins by 35.
So, Robert, what stuck out for you the most about Texas this weekend?
Well, this was a huge game. I thought it was an impressive win for Texas. They covered that 31.5-point spread, as I mentioned. It's very rare for Texas to cover a spread that big. They're known for playing down to their competition. They spread the ball. You heard me say Jake Smith had 2 touchdowns. That's really huge. The defense still looked a little sloppy at times, so that performance needs to improve, especially as they move on into conference play. But Roschon Johnson, the running back, who was the former quarterback, back up to Sam Ehlinger, looked great. 59 rushing yards, and he had that receiving touchdown. I think this was a huge win for Texas and a big statement victory against a team that they're supposed to make a statement win against.
Yeah, an impressive win it was. So what does this win for Texas, what context does it put them for the season?
Well, it gives them that mentality of you beat who you're supposed to beat. You have the 1-0 mentality. On TSTV Sports, we actually have a new show, the 1-0 Sports Show. Check it out Fridays. But the 1-0 mentality that Tom Herman always preaches about, finishing those games. You saw Deshaun Jameson had that 98-yard kickoff return in the final minute of the game. That's huge for Texas because they're playing full 60-minute games. They're not letting teams claw back in the final quarter. And that's going to be very crucial when you're going up against teams like Oklahoma and Oklahoma State this Saturday.
So, so where does Texas go from here as they head to conference play?
Well, the expectations are still, Tom Herman has been very upfront. The goal for this team is to contend for a Big 12 title and win that Big 12 title. They most likely have to win out to have a chance at the playoffs, so that means they have to defeat OU. But that starts this week. They have to avenge last year's loss to Oklahoma State. Running back Chuba Hubbard is coming in, had a 256-yard, 3-touchdown game last week against Tulsa. So with this roster, Texas, the expectation has to be to win the conference, but they must resist those injuries in the defensive back and the running back positions. You're already down to Roshan Johnson as your backup running back. You have some problems.
All right. Well, thanks for that update. So let's move forward to some more serious news. This week, the University of Texas announced Monday that they found no other college athletes involved in the college admission scandal that broke last spring. So could you just go into more of that in detail with that? What does this mean?
Yeah, I'll elaborate here. So this review came in the wake of longtime men's tennis coach Michael Center's guilty plea in April for his involvement in the nationwide college bribery scandal. So Center actually accepted $100,000, including one instance where he met someone in a parking lot to accept $60,000. Now the scheme was that the student would get accepted with the tennis scholarship, then they would drop from the team immediately, but they would stay in school. Now Center is currently probably going to be sentenced on October 30th, and he does face 20 years in prison, but the prosecution did recommend that the low end of the sentencing range as part of his plea deal. So that's the specifics of what's going on.
So, but does this report do enough improvement of all these admissions?
Yeah, so the report that came out a week ago today, I think it, the whole scandal confirmed the worst fears that people have about the sort of black box nature of college admissions. You know what's going in, you don't know what's happening in the middle. But the review was inevitable. Del Conte has been pretty thorough in his time at UT, both in hires, but also with legal problems and even logistical problems. You can go back to see how he handled the whole LSU mix-up with the students trying to get in. Now, this report outlined a new scheme going forward that student athletes are going to have to be, there's a report that's going to have to be written about them by every coach in order to question the validity. But basically, the report did say that what Center did was, quote, unthinkable, and I agree. I think the report said that it takes some good steps forward for the athletics program, but Del Conte has taken a big step with this report.
All right. Well, thank you for keeping us updated for the sports this week, and we'll be right back with your entertainment news.
Welcome back to Texas News Channel. My name is Rolando Hernandez, and I'll be your entertainment correspondent. An unofficial tradition has started up again on the 40 acres. Last football season, fans gathered in song to sing the fan favorite Don't Stop Believing while waving phone flashlights in the air to hype up the horns. This tradition has rolled over to this season and doesn't show signs of stopping. Don't be afraid to join in song this Saturday against Oklahoma State. In recent news, Kim Kardashian admitted to the Daily Mail her fondness of CBD. This past spring, the mother of four threw a CBD meditation-themed baby shower a few weeks before the birth of her son, Sam, in May. The 38-year-old mother told People magazine that CBD has helped her get to sleep at night for the past few months on long days spent raising her 4 kids and studying for her bar exam. For its upcoming 45th season, NBC's Saturday Night Live has added comedians Chloe Fineman, Shane Gillis, and Bowen Yang to the show's cast. Yang's casting, who's joined the show as a staff writer last year, is notable as he'll be the first Asian American series regular in the show's 45-year run. But despite the show adding some welcome diversity, new SNL hire Shane Gillis has garnered controversy for making racist comments about Chinese Americans during a podcast recording, which has made some rounds on Twitter. Many in the entertainment industry called for Gillis to be fired. A spokesperson on behalf of Saturday Night Live's showrunner Lorene Michaels announced that Gillis will not be joining the show's cast because of offensive and hurtful language. Mike the Situation Sorrentino has gotten himself out of a situation that is an 8-month prison sentence for tax evasion. His Jersey Shore castmates traveled to Washington, D.C. wearing free Stitch t-shirts in hopes of getting their friend an early release date. During his time in prison, the cast said Sorrentino was doing great. On his release date, Sorrentino tweeted out, quote, "Turn up, we free," hashtag free Stitch. Now it's back to the gym, tan, and laundry. That's it from the entertainment desk. Back to you, Marco.
Thanks so much, Rolando, and thank you for tuning in.
You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Texas News TSTV.
And if you have a news tip, you could always email us at news@texasstudenttv.com.
You can catch Good Morning Texas Wednesdays at 7 a.m. and Tower Talks Wednesdays at 6 p.m. I'm Carli Rappoport.
And I'm Marco Ramirez from all of us at TNC. Good night.